How would you like to be married for a few hours to a fairly nice looking man about 40 years old? It's time for Must Have Seen TV, the podcast dedicated to the sitcoms of the 20th century. From I Love Lucy to News Radio, sometimes we do other kinds of shows like dramas. I'm your TV guide, Barb Hardley. Go to YouTube to see the drag excellence that I am serving right now. And I'm also a senior reporter for Decider.com. And you can tell I ain't done this in a hot minute, but say hello to the prince to my Overbrook, Ethan K. Hello, Ethan.
Barb, I appreciate being called Prince, who was the dog to the rancher in this episode. We are starting a new season, and I'm calling our um 5 episodes of different decades of television. I'm calling each one a season now because all the big famous podcasts have seasons, and it gives us an excuse why we couldn't meet to record one of these in between our two-parter Becker episode, because I was traveling and you had a tooth removed.
I had a tooth removed.
Can't even tell. Can't even tell right
Well,
now.
I still paid $450 for the temporary that I'm picking up tomorrow.
Woo. Well,
So that's fun. So that was a lot of healing. Um, but in the meantime, I will just show off the gown that I made because I think in the interim I've made 3 different dresses. I learned how to sew. So oh god, if I am in gorgeous. It is like Diamonds Are a Girl's Best Friend meets 1980s prom.
meets Jessica Rabbit because you have purple elbow length gloves
Mm-hmm. That
and
is correct.
jewelry up top, jewelry on the fingers, jewelry on the wrists. Folks, we appreciate you listening on your commute as you're listening to us on Spotify or Apple
Oh
Podcasts or
wow,
Acast.
so
But
many platforms.
pop over to YouTube, check us out on the YouTube channel because Barb's got a bow on her butt that is the size
Yes.
of her shoulders.
Yeah, and it is affixed by safety pins.
Like
Woo!
like the pros.
Because I don't know how to hand stitch yet, which
But
seems like it should be common sense, but
that'll
I think
happen.
but I
It'll
failed.
come. It'll happen.
So, okay, now I'm back.
Sitting in a
Uh,
chair is a little difficult when you're in a tube dress.
well, I mean, I'm going to be hiking up this for, whatever. We're
So,
fine.
folks,
Hey.
if you're not looking on YouTube, you're missing Barb hiking up her dress, but
Ooh.
you're missing out on the fantastic eye makeup.
Oh, hi.
It is
Oh,
fantastic. It
I'm
is.
wearing, so I am wearing, I think, 5 pairs of eyelashes, which let me tell you, made watching this episode hard because it's hard to keep your eyes open when they're being weighed down by 5 pairs of eyelashes. Like, especially when you're trying to like intently watch something. Like when I'm talking, like I'm animated, so I keep them open. But oh boy. Yeah.
This episode, I gotta say, was a lot of fun.
I got well, yeah, let's do this then. We'll do a must have now right here because I think it relates to this in a way, and also because I keep forgetting to upload the exclusive must have now TVs to the YouTube channel. 2 of them coming out at some point. Um, so what you just said reminded me of all of the glorious mid-century themed television going on right now. And I basically I'll talk about Feud, Capote versus the Swans, because have you watched it?
No.
Okay. Well, I mean, watching it, Truman Capote is not a character to be envied, but my gay ass watching it is like, oh man, I really wish that I could go back in time and be this 5'6", booze addicted asshole who just throws extravagant parties and everyone knows is gay, but still is, ostracized. It's like, what is wrong with me that I'm like, this is, yeah.
Who's playing Truman Capote in this one?
Tom Hollander.
Tom Hollander.
So he's not, I don't think he's gay, but he is short. So therefore I give it a pass.
Of all the actors that I can remember playing Truman Capote, I can't think of any who were gay. I'm
No, I
thinking
mean, yeah, like it was Toby
Philip Seymour,
Jones.
Toby Jones, Philip Seymour Hoffman, and I remember in the movie The Doors by Oliver Stone, Paul Williams played Truman Capote.
You know, it as a 5'6" woman, I appreciate the representation. Oh Lord. What are you watching?
Well, Megan's been playing a lot of Baldur's Gate 3, so I am kind of a Baldur's Gate widower that I have lost Megan. Megan beat the game and then started another 7 games with different characters. So when she wants to play a bard, she can jump into that game.
Oh
And then she gets
man.
tired of that and she wants to play a monk and she plays another character. And then she wants to play the Dark Urge character. She plays that character. So there I haven't been being able to watch a lot of television. But I did just get the collector's box set of the Monkees.
Oh, we got to do it.
Oh, it is so good. The Blu-ray set, it's every episode, it's the movie, commentary on every episode, commentary on the movie, behind the scenes on the movie, the TV special, commentary on the TV special, just TV ads. It is a box set. I want to say it's like 3 inches tall. It's huge. I got it for myself for my birthday, which is coming up this Saturday, March
We
23rd. So Megan has been playing Baldur's Gate, like I said, and when she's not, I have been either watching something on my phone like anime, or watching The Monkees, which is such a great show. They're
Oh
so
my
much
God.
fun.
I know. I loved it when I was a kid, and it's hard to find streaming anywhere.
And
And
I
I
don't know
will
why, because all of the songs are
our
Monkees
monkey
songs.
songs.
It's not like WKRP where they just had
Yeah,
other musicians playing,
or
just playing
Daria,
songs.
or early Real World.
Yeah, or
I'm
the state.
also watching Nonstop ER, which we will talk about at some point, because now I just thought for this round season we could do dramas. And when we
Well,
do,
we
and then 90s do ER.
Well, the one caveat is we did have Jessica Pruitt Barnett.
Oh, right. We have to do a funny family. Hey, that's a drama.
Yeah, that's true. It's a drama. The episode
Family
we
Affair
saw,
is a drama.
Family Affair is dead children on Christmas. Yeah, well, we'll see. We'll
Was
see.
Brian Keith an alcoholic?
I don't know. I assumed
But like,
everyone from that era was.
yeah. I mean,
Uh
it's the day after St. Patrick's Day, so tip of the hat to you, Brian Keith, who I just assume is Irish because of everything about him. And
uh
also, wasn't he in Darby O'Gill and the Little People?
no, no, no. That was
Who was?
Sean Connery.
Oh,
Sean
famously Scottish.
Yes, famously not Irish. But it's funny that you said that because I was just looking that up yesterday. I've been listening to the Disney History Institute podcast, and they are doing a multi-part series with about a writer who eventually did do the script for Darby O'Gill and the Little People, but he also did Robin Hood and Treasure
Mm,
Island. And it's the story of how he was a novelist who Disney was interested and they ended up working together for a number of years, including this author, and I can't remember his name off the top of my head, but going over to Ireland and doing all the research over in Ireland, which sounds like such a dream job.
yeah, it's like the It's Always Sunny, like 4 episodes in Ireland.
Yeah. But go over
Um,
there. I want to go get paid by Walt Disney to study folklore in Ireland. How nice does that sound?
yeah, I got a lot to say about careers in the 50s and 60s based on this episode. Mostly just office setups and how clutter free.
Well, I do want to link this episode to Family Affair because we're doing Perry Mason, the episode The Case of the Lazy Lover, directed by William Russell, who also directed 31 episodes of Family Affair.
Man, so so that means he had 31 times where he was like, gotta get Brian Keith out on time.
Or he's 31 times being like, this is supposed to be a comedy, but damn it, I directed Perry Mason. It's gonna be a drama.
Damn it. But that means that this week we are traveling to May 31st, 1958. A better time. Jury's still out. No time for sergeants ruled the box office. All I have to do is dream by the Everly Brothers topped the charts, and CBS aired the Perry Mason episode, The Case of the Lazy Lover. Ethan, you must have seen The Case of the Lazy Lover before today.
I have not seen The Case of the Lazy Lover before today.
I don't think we've seen The Case of the Lazy Lover because who was the lazy lover?
There were no lazy lovers in this. It was an interesting title. I
At
expected
the end
more
of it,
from
I had to go back and be like, did I watch the right episode? And I did.
There was no lazy lover. Though May 31st, 1958, two things happened. There was a nuclear test in the Bikini Atoll. Meh, not great. But it is the birthday of one Ted McGinley.
Ooh, scrubbing. Right. No.
Well, yeah, from Shrinking.
Oh, right.
Shrinking, Love Boat, Married with Children, Revenge of the Nerds.
Oh,
super handsome.
Jesus Christ. Yeah, that one. I get him confused with oh God. I don't know. Well, I don't know.
Oh, I know who you're talking about. Who played the one doctor on Scrubs.
Yeah.
His
name is close to Ted McGinley, though, isn't it?
It is. But it's not Ted McGinley.
Actor who is not Ted McGinley. Enter.
Ted McGinley is still a wonderful, fantastic actor. He's doing Shrinking right now with Harrison Ford and Jason Segel, and it's awesome.
But so like Perry Mason, history with Perry Mason, as a retro drama, never got reran, at least never got reran on Nick at Night, so I never watched it. Wasn't
Not on
aware
Nick
of
at
it.
Night, no.
So yeah, this is maybe the third episode I've ever seen.
This was a show that is still extremely popular now.
Mm-hmm.
It ran from 1957 to 1973. No, sorry, 1957 to 1966. It was nominated for multiple Emmys.
So good. The Oscars were like, we gotta award it.
271 episodes. Which was more than enough for syndication, and this ran in syndication afternoons, daytime TV for years, decades. It just kept going.
Well, and then they did TV movies. They did TV movies up until like the 90s.
It was based on short stories by Earl Stanley Gardner, which were based on an actual defense attorney named Earl Rogers, a trial attorney with 77 cases and 3 losses.
He should have tried harder.
Earl Stanley Gardner ended up doing over 80 novels, and he only typed 2 fingers at a time. Eventually, he ended up dictating to a secretary. But it is the third best-selling book series after Harry Potter and Goosebumps.
Oh, Goosebumps! Work.
It's pretty wild. It was. They did 6 films from 1934 to 1940, and then a radio serial from 1943 to 1955, starring John Larkin as Perry Mason. Then that ended. It was so popular, it ended, and then they did a series called Edge of the Night, which was basically a ripoff of Perry Mason, also starring John Larkin. They hired the same actor.
Oh my God.
To play a, not Perry Mason.
Well, and so what I love, and so like we could also be doing this in Pride Month because Raymond Burr, famous homosexual. And I love that for him because the most popular show in America for like 10 years or whatever had a gay man as the star, but very, 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 very much closeted. He fabricated multiple dead wives to throw people off the scent. If I wasn't scrambling to clean up my office and put on multiple layers of Spanx, I would have reread the article that I wrote about this 4 years ago, where I did like a deep dive into it. But he just kept he just kept inventing new dead wives who died in horrific ways, like cancers and stuff.
He had
But
he was married once.
yes, and I think I found her obituary and it didn't even mention him.
Oh my
Because
God.
I think because oh my god, oh geez. Because I feel like I mean, I feel like the subtext from what I gleaned from my research was she knew he was a homo and she was
Right.
like, well, this doesn't count anymore, bitch. I'm done. Like,
It was a
that's what
short thing too. It wasn't,
yeah.
yeah.
Um,
And then, but
but
then go ahead.
he did fall in love with a man that he
Robert
was with
Benavides.
for like 30 years, like something crazy. They bought an island together and they were like gardeners. They like did horticulture. Well, that's what that is, right?
Yeah,
Horticulture plants.
Raymond Burr had a winery
Mm-hmm.
that after he died, his partner Robert named after him, which is something that he didn't that uh Raymond Burr didn't want. He's like, don't name the winery after me, but he's like, nah, nah, nah. It's Raymond Burr Wineries. You're making these wines. But yeah, they were together from 1960 until Burr's death.
Oh, and there was something about he had to like Confidential, the famous, gossip rag in the 50s and 60s, like got onto him and he like threw them off of the scent. I don't know if his like agent, because usually when that happens, an agent who has multiple homosexuals that they're representing, if someone's coming after their top tier closet and homosexual,
Yeah.
they will then throw them their C-list homosexual to be like, no, out this one instead. Leave the cash cow
Mm,
alone. Uh, so I don't like that happened, I think, with Rock Hudson a bit. I
that must have
think.
happened. Well,
Uh,
the episode has also a raging heterosexual in William Tallman, who played Hamilton Berger, which was its own little. Hamilton Berger is the prosecutor.
oh,
He did most of the series, but not all, because he was caught at an orgy in Hollywood in 1960. It was a straight orgy, as far as we can tell, because there were men and women there in various different
hey,
levels of nudity.
yeah, it's
He
like
was
whatever goes goes.
caught with marijuana, but so he was taken off the show for season 3 and season 4, but people wanted him back so much that they're like, let him have the sex, and they brought him back. And then he ended up marrying one of the women at the orgy. So
Well,
it
good. Oh
happy
wow.
endings for everyone.
Raymond Burr had a happy ending after having all those fake wives die. Like, this is great.
Yeah.
This week on Must Have CTV, we're talking about the Perry Mason episode, The Case of the Lazy Lover. It's the 35th episode of season 1, and it was written by Francis Cockrell, based on a novel by Earl Stanley Gardner, and directed by William D. Russell. Here is how Paramount Plus describes the episode. When the ne'er do well husband of a wealthy woman is killed, a series of footprints at the crime scene belong to any number of suspects who all deny having been there. Ethan, is that an accurate description of this episode?
Surprisingly enough, yeah, because the review or the summary that I read had nothing to do with the footprints. And then we're watching this episode, I'm like, oh shit, it's all about the footprints.
Jesus Christ, so many footprints. Yeah.
I was lost.
Oh no, I do. I still do not know who committed the murder. And also, that was weirdly like a running joke at the end of like none of them knowing. Okay. Again, wearing gloves and trying to scroll through Google Docs is
Uh,
fun.
I liked the episode a lot. I don't really watch courtroom things. I did watch the HBO Perry Mason for the
Which
two
I was,
seasons that
what
was
is
on.
that's like a prequel or something? Like he's
Yeah,
like grizzled.
yeah, it should have gone on longer because he didn't really try any case. He didn't do any cases.
So what was his job if he wasn't a lawyer?
So in the first season, he's a private detective who's like, this case is getting away from me, and someone's like, hey, you know what? If you're a lawyer, you don't have to let this go. And I guess it was like really really easy to pass the bar. And then it ends in like a mistrial. And then the second season is like, okay, I'm doing these rinky-dink little lawyer jobs for Sean Astin's grocery store. And then he's like, no, I want to be part of this murder case. And I think it's I think he lost the murder case. Like,
Jeez.
so like third season would have been him like being a great defense attorney, but we only got 2 seasons of it. So he was actually a pretty shitty defense attorney.
What a compare and contrast of TV then, TV now. The opening credits is our boy Perry handing over some docs to a judge, and then we're in the courtroom, and it's a very jazzy theme song that was stuck in my head, but now it has turned into the Get Smart theme song, so I don't remember what the actual theme song sounds like.
It's jazzy, it's cute. It's 1958, you know?
Yeah. And I will just get this out of the way up top. Every man in this episode of television is hot. Perry Mason, I think Raymond Burr, sexy. Come at me, I don't care. A hot man built like a brick house. We love it.
Well, you got Paul Drake, played by William Hopper. Paul Drake, the private investigator.
Oh
who
yeah.
Somehow just sits with Perry behind his table in the courtroom. He's just
his
there.
bud.
He's like 20 feet tall.
So, oh my God. So the first act is Columbo-y in that we're seeing the dead body, basically. So what happened? Ethan, take it away.
All right. So I have a bunch of notes. The reason we picked this episode out of all the episodes, and there were again 271, but we had to keep it in the 1950s, so it was really only season 1, season 2.
Yeah.
And this episode stars Commissioner Gordon and Batgirl.
Yeah, as well as daughter and stepfather.
Yeah. And it's not anything kind of like freaky or anything like that. They actually hate each other.
Yeah.
But yeah, 8 years before Batman 66, we get Neil Hamilton as the dad, the stepdad in this, and Yvonne Craig as Pat. Yvonne Craig, Batgirl, who I didn't know until I was doing this that she dated Elvis for 2 years and also Bill Bixby.
Wow.
Elvis
and the Hulk?
Yeah.
Both still alive. Not wrong. So my main takeaway from this first like little mini act was that holy shit, imagine being a teenage driver in 1958 and the only option is I'm driving a tank.
Yeah.
Like every single car, I mean, gorgeous. They're basically like they are works of art on wheels and are as fragile or just like they just look like the most unwieldy beasts.
They are the size of a county. They are huge.
Yeah.
So it starts off with her pulling into a driveway.
All the most exciting episodes start that way.
Shot day for night. I didn't realize it was supposed to be night until someone said it was night. I was like, oh, it's the afternoon. No, it's nighttime. She pulls this giant car into her driveway. She walks in.
Well, she has to course correct because her dumb stepfather parked too close to the driveway. And so in order to get the right angle to get into the driveway, because again, she's basically driving a battleship, she misses and hits a hedge.
Yeah, she hits the hedge.
She runs the car into a hedge and then backs up and goes into the house.
We wouldn't have noticed unless she comes in and says, I think I hit the hedge.
Yeah. And then, I only noticed when his name's Neil Hamilton?
Neil Hamilton. I wrote down Commissioner
Gordon
everywhere.
Yeah. His necktie looked like it had circuit boards on it. Like, I don't know. The fashions are on point. So there's a whole lot of, there is so much talk in this episode of driveways and footprints. And it's so she gets on to her stepdad because she fucking hates this dude. And also his wife hates him too.
He walks in and she has a pitcher of martinis already made. He busts through the door, pours himself a martini, and is like, your mom makes great martinis. Drink it up.
And also, take a moment to look at the house they are living in. It looks like they are living in the Louvre. It is huge. 20-foot ceilings, columns everywhere. Like
This guy's rich. We find out later that he's like in mining.
he's
He
in
like
mining.
he does mining stuff. That the daughter, Yvonne Craig, is not his. It's the mother. Um, I should, hold on just one second. I want to make sure I have the mom's name right. The mom is Anne Lee, playing Lucille Allred.
Okay, yes.
Um, yeah, she did a lot of TV. They all did a lot of TV. This was the time where everyone just did TV. It was
Oh
1950s. You
yeah.
could do an
Where
episode here,
was
episode there,
this?
episode there.
Where was this filmed? I say as I hike up my bra.
Probably California.
Yeah, because it feels overall like the acting in general feels very much like we haven't realized that microphones pick up our voices. Like it feels very like we come from the stage. Like it is,
Yeah.
which is great. I mean, honestly, it's a style and I love it. She is like, hey, asshole dad, go move your fucking car. I hit the hedge. What the hell are you doing? And he's like, oh, okay. Oh no.
Well, I may have had the couple sips of this martini, but I'm going to drive my car. And then we actually watch him go out to the car, repark the car,
But
which
this time,
but it takes a while. You actually see like the whole process of him
yeah,
driving
it is.
forward, turning a
Well,
little,
it's
driving.
1958. I bet you a lot of people, this was the first time they saw a car on television, and they were like, more of this, please. Reverse. Ooh.
I just read something. I just heard something about that on a different podcast where in 1955 they opened up Disneyland and they opened up that little car race, the Autopia, and it was really popular then because highways had only been created in 1954. So people
Oh.
in 1955 are like, "Oh, I can drive on the highway like my father did to get us here." Oh my gosh. And little kids drive around the little fake highway.
We love it.
But
Take me back, take me back. But he discovers a dead body. A
yes.
dead body is in the hedge, has fallen out of the hedge or whatever. And okay, I'm trying to like
But he's not
linearly all the information we find out about this gentleman is his name is Bob Fleetwood,
Bob Fleetwood.
and he is Neil Hamilton's secretary, basically, like
Yeah,
his like
right
partner or
hand
whatever.
man.
Because men can't be secretaries, that's for women. Uh, and he, well, I don't know. I feel like maybe if we discuss this in like actual like linear order of all, like maybe we will figure it out because like we.
They did a bad job of it because
Well,
so they go, I think he's dead. And then they cut to Perry Mason's office where he's getting a retainer check from the wife on behalf of the daughter because the daughter thinks that she hit Bob Fleetwood in the driveway. And
yeah.
in case he dies, then she'd be up for a manslaughter charge, possibly. So Perry Mason gets a check sight unseen for $2,500.
Well, and so like when he talks to the daughter, she's like, yeah, my mom and Bob ran away. And we're like, wait, last time I saw him, he was a corpse on their couch. Like they bring him in, he is out cold, like dead as far as we know, because they're not like he's not gonna have like a bunch of blood and bruises in a 1958 show.
Right.
And so like Barbara, I keep wanting to say Barbara Feldon, Barbara Gordon, aka Yvonne Craig, aka whatever her name is on this,
That girl.
is like, oh no, I probably hit him. Which side note, this was like her stepdad framing her for vehicular manslaughter.
Uh,
Because wasn't that his initial plot? Yeah.
Hold on just 1 second. Sorry, my microphone unplugged real quick. So yeah, it's he's not dead.
We find out in the most what I noted, an overall note, as if I was a network exec, I would, if I worked at CBS in 1958, I would be like, hi, Mr. Perry Mason people, can you please show things on camera?
Yes.
Because
So
they make so many big plot developments happen off screen and they are mentioned haphazardly.
it just happens that we immediately go to Perry Mason's office, and he wants to call the wife to make
Yeah.
sure that this is good. Commissioner Gordon picks up. He's kind of a sleazy guy. He's like, "No, she's not here." Okay. And then he comes into the office.
Yeah.
Commissioner Gordon comes into the office and says,
Oh,
"My wife was having an affair with Bob Fleetwood."
and they just ran away together. And I'm sitting here watching. He's dead. 2 days have passed. They haven't called the police. Is there just a dead body in their living room? No, he's alive. He never was dead.
He was never dead. Uh, they say it comes out. I forget who said this, but it turns out it's so weird because it happened so quickly and it didn't happen in front of us. It just happened with people telling us that the wife and Bob Fleetwood ran away to a motel
Yeah.
and he has amnesia, and Commissioner Gordon drove the two of them to the hotel to hide them out for some reason.
Yeah, there so like the wildest thing about this episode is like you think that the episode's going to be about the thing that happens in the beginning. Like, oh cool, we got the dead body, we got a suspect, we'll find out. It's like no, all of that precursor. All of that is precursor to the actual murder that will happen later.
The
And
actual crime, yeah, so the actual crime is that somehow so they Paul Drake, the private investigator, and Perry
Mhm.
Mason go to the hotel because they think there's going to be some adultery going on.
Yeah.
And they look at the rooms, and it's about 9 o'clock at night. Again, shooting day for night. I thought it was like 3 p.m.
Oh
They,
yeah, God.
they get there and they're examining the rooms, and they're like, "Oh, they were just here. The room is still warm.
Well,
There's
and
still ice in the
also
glass."
the ice hasn't melted yet. They also like got 2 rooms.
Adjoining room.
So they got adjoining rooms that adjoined via the bathroom, which
Oh
feels
yeah,
like the worst room to adjoin. Because didn't it look like it opened from like the other bedroom, the other hotel
yeah.
room's like living area into a bathroom? Like,
Are you pooping in there?
yeah,
Yeah,
it's
I
like,
am. I'm
oh my.
coming in.
I mean, I don't know, is bathroom to bathroom better? I don't even know. But also they got 2 rooms. So who are the people that actually stayed at the hotel?
I
Motel.
believe it was the wife and Robert Fleetwood.
Okay.
And I think they were all three there at the same time.
Uh,
Because so because we have the wife, we then cut to the wife and Perry Mason
oh,
at their house.
at their house, and it's like all of a sudden, like, oh, I guess she hasn't run away. She's come home.
She came home,
Like
so
so
maybe she wasn't having the affair with Robert Fleetwood.
but Robert Fleetwood is still MIA, right?
Robert Fleetwood's MIA. Everyone's wondering where he is, and then Lieutenant Tragg, a regular on the show,
Of the
um,
oh god.
Lieutenant
Uh,
Tragg, played by Ray Collins.
I was gonna say the rock soldiers from Dimension X, but
Well, Ray Collins at this point, this is one of his last roles. He he did radio. He was part of Orson Welles's
oh.
crew, so he was one of the reporters in War of the Worlds.
Oh.
Did vaudeville.
Ooh.
Um, he was credited on Perry Mason up until season 8, but his health was so bad that he stopped appearing in season 7, and
Oh, okay.
he only did a handful of episodes in season 6 and 7.
So
Um,
he comes in, he's like, we found your car, wife. It is at the bottom of a canyon with a dead body in it. That dead body belongs to Bob Fleetwood. He's dead. Did you kill him or something? Like, right?
yeah, and everyone's wondering, like, did you kill him or did your husband kill him?
And they know that he had to be killed because the car was in neutral and no one drives a car on neutral. So someone like basically like got out of the car and like just let it roll off into the canyon.
Yeah. So that's the mystery. Where's Bob Fleetwood? Well, he's dead. Where's the
Mm.
husband? He's MIA too. And did the wife kill Bob
But
Fleetwood?
so this is when Perry Mason gets How does he come to suspect that Bob is actually alive and at this third country house? Like, this is another
Well,
location we're bringing in.
it's because um Trag says that she left with Fleetwood in the car, but then somehow walked back to the motel. And she says that's what happened, and Batgirl picked me up. And then they get word that it wasn't Bob Fleetwood,
No.
it was Commissioner Gordon.
Yes, he's dead. Face
Yes, Emil
crack.
Hamilton. He's dead in the car. He's all beat up, he's all bruised, and they think maybe he was murdered or at least beaten up before he went off the cliff. Now we're like, where the hell is Bob Fleetwood? Because there are three people involved in this. One of them's dead. One of them is the wife that has kind of a shady alibi, and one of them's MIA Bob Fleetwood.
Oh, was the wife ever in the trunk to jump ahead?
No.
They kept saying things that the wife had done, but we never heard from her whether or not she had done it or not done it.
Yeah,
Like
after a
we just
while,
never
she vanished.
so I
Like
don't know anything about
she's
her.
the defendant. But we have Paul Drake. I love Paul Drake. I love the before I knew Perry Mason, I knew Paul Drake because of the Mojo Nixon song, The Perry Mason of Love,
Oh.
where it starts off, Mojo Nixon, some people say that you're the Gilligan of love, and that's not true. And some people say you're the F troop of love. And he's like, no, no, baby, I'm the Perry Mason of love.
That's
And it's a
great.
great song. But at one point, he's talking, he goes, Paul Drake, call Paul Drake to investigate my love. Because he's the private investigator. Um, it's a great song. Rest in peace, Mojo Nixon, who died like 3 weeks ago.
Oh.
Um, but Paul Drake is the one on the show who always brings the information. So he's like, I found Fleetwood. He's
Yes.
staying at this place called the Overbrook Ranch, and he knows Overbrook because Overbrook hates Commissioner Gordon.
Wait, and
Over
why?
Oh, because he had said this. He says like Commissioner Gordon screwed Overbrook over like in the past financially. So he's like, oh, I I hate if I something like if I ever saw that guy, I'd kill him. So,
God.
yeah,
So this is where Perry Mason basically looks at Della, and
Della
is
Street.
like, "So how would you like to spend a couple of hours married to a not horribly, not terribly bad looking 40-year-old like basically?" And I at first I thought he was talking about himself, and I was like,
Yeah,
"Ooh yeah," but no, he was talking about the plan because Bob's going around saying I have amnesia, which is like wild. I love things that when you were a kid and you watched a lot of television, probably of our generation and before, because I don't know what kids watch now. They watch TikToks.
Skibbity
There were
toilet.
just like so many things that appeared in all television all the time that I was like convinced, oh, when I grow up, I'm gonna fall in quicksand and have
Yep.
amnesia at some point. And I just love that it's like, yeah, amnesia, sure. And they're like, well, that means if he's faking it, he's playing as amnesia, we can go in, we can say you're his wife, and he won't know. He won't be able to
Yeah.
say no. And that's their whole way to get him into the police.
Yes, is to go to the Overbrook Ranch where they meet Mr. Overbrook, who seems very pleasant, and his dog Prince,
You love
a
him.
German Shepherd named Prince. Um, I will not say that he had the standout performance of the show because he was only in one scene and he was good. He was a good boy,
Okay.
but I'm not going to give best performance to the dog on this one. I'm sorry. But they go over there, and Della Street, played by Barbara Hale, who's the mother. I mean, huge career of her own.
Yeah.
Tons of stuff. She ended up doing this series and the TV movies. But she's the mother of Greatest American Hero William Catt, who
Oh.
used to be the picture on my credit card for a number of years.
Right. That was in a previous episode, that
Yes,
story.
man, I'd love to do that
I
series.
do love so like Della throws her arms around him just like, oh my God. And I love that she keeps saying, oh, don't you remember? We spent XYZ, don't you remember? And it's just like, hey, he has amnesia.
Well,
Bitch, what are you not understanding? I just
he
love
doesn't.
asking.
He gives up the ghost and he's like, I've never seen this woman before in my life. And they're like, I thought you had amnesia. And he's like, no, I just never saw this woman before. It's not amnesia.
And it's yeah. So but then they turn him into the police off screen, and then Bob gives his like testimony, like his account of events off screen,
from a hospital.
and we have to like hear all of this in second, third hand.
So he's at the hospital being treated for amnesia, where he is smoking like a chimney in the hospital back in the 1958. Oh yeah, you could smoke in a
Well,
hospital.
Becker tried to, didn't he?
Yes, he did. Oh my
So
God, is that a theme connecting last season to this
90s.
season? Smoking in hospitals?
Smoking in the hospital.
Oh God. That makes me feel icky.
Um,
So
but yeah, so
he gives his
so
side of the story.
what? So his side of the, please enlighten me. I watched this and I am.
Um, oh, sorry, we're not at the hospital yet.
Oh,
Fleetwood, there's still kind of a Perry Mason goes to talk to Batgirl, Yvonne Craig,
right.
and she's like, Mom was in the hotel. She tried to hitchhike back because Fleetwood took the car.
Yeah.
They admits that Fleetwood and Mom and Dad, stepdad, were all at the hotel together. That Fleetwood and Commissioner Gordon Dad drove away. Mom tried to hitchhike home and then realized it was a dumb idea, walked back to the hotel, called her daughter who had a car and to pick her up. And Batgirl admits that Mom did not like Dad. They were going to get divorced.
Oh
Mom
yeah.
also has a bunch of money that's not available to Dad.
Yeah. I
Um,
would say we need a diagram to understand this, but we're
no,
going to get one, and I'm still not gonna understand.
we're trying the best we can. These,
Yeah, there's just too many like feet. There's too many. We got two murders, like multiple, like three. Well, not two, but like we thought there were two, and
we
now
thought
there's
there was a
multiple
murder.
locations.
Yeah, we thought there was
Jesus
a murder
Christ
at the beginning. Now the guy who discovered the murdered body is murdered
is
in a
murdered.
card. Is it his wife? Is it Robert Fleetwood? Um,
When do we meet Bob's girlfriend, who is a
this is
fucking
where we
smoke show?
so again, Paul Drake, handsome Paul Drake, played by William Hopper, Hedda Hopper's son.
Oh,
Um,
ooh, wow.
yeah, he had to live that down, just kind of like
Well, Jesus Christ. So wait, Raymond Burr
yeah.
is working with the son of Hedda Hopper, like famous gossip columnist who would have fucking outed him in a second.
Yeah, who was also like
Wild.
hell's yeah, blacklist.
Yeah,
Like
she was all about it.
so it's like, hey, ignore my mom, who wants to put all you commies in jail, but can you hire me for some TV stuff?
So wild.
Um, I love him. Like he's great. He's handsome. He's like 7'2". He was in Maltese Falcon. If you watch Mystery Science Theater, he was the lead in Deadly Mantis.
Oh.
No, I do so much research on these people. I just have to like keep throwing it out there. So Paul Drake's like, by the way, she got it. He has a girlfriend. She came
Oh,
to visit him in the hospital.
yeah. And so they go visit her, and she's like the Megan Fox of 1958.
Yeah,
She's like, she's hot. She don't give a shit. She's like confident, cocky. We love.
she's played by Frances Helm. Uh did again, million episodes of TV. She is playing the young hot girlfriend. Definitely not the same type as the mom. So Robert Fleetwood, if he is having an affair
Oh
with the
yeah.
mom, which it turns out they're not. They're not having
No.
an affair at all. Robert Fleetwood is totally into this vampy,
I
gorgeous woman.
mean, she's the
Um,
second prettiest woman that we're talking about today. With anyway.
they
Uh
pop by her
I love
apartment.
what does
No,
Perry Mason show up? She knows who Perry Mason is. Someone says Mason and she's like, Perry Mason? You mean the attorney? And I'm like, wow, were attorneys famous back then?
35 episodes, and he's already a household name.
Wow.
Um,
So yeah, so the whole thing is like, how did he call his girlfriend on Monday if he had amnesia? And so like
yes.
they're like entrapping him in his lies.
Yeah. She's like, he's had amnesia before.
Yeah, she's like,
Whatever.
oh, this happens.
Yeah, she's she's great.
He's married
Um,
to Goofy. Like, I don't know. Like, yuck.
they go to the hospital and they get Robert Fleetwood's story. Again, this is Perry Mason, and I think it's Lieutenant Tragg. Um,
So many people.
I think
So
my belief in these is I think, and I think it's accurate, is that the first half of the episode is the investigation.
yes.
So you have Paul Drake, and you've got Lieutenant Tragg, and there's like that's the government and the investigator and Perry Mason trying to figure things out and like get the suspects. And Della Street's there for the entire thing. And then once like it's like Law and Order, the second half is in the courtroom, and
Mm-hmm.
that's where you get Hamilton Berger, who's the prosecutor, and sometimes Paul's there and Della's there because Della's like,
His confidential secretary,
yeah,
he says.
right hand gal Friday.
So Bob's account of events is that he discovered that Commissioner Gordon was forging like mining scam, just
Yeah,
like money, embezzle, forge, mining scam, etc. And he found that out. And so then Commissioner Gordon just flat out attacked Bob at work. And then, so Bob's version of events is he attacked me. And then the next thing I knew, I was waking up in a living room on a couch.
yes.
Is that what happened? I feel
No.
like everything that at the
Yes,
beginning
maybe.
is what happened because it's all inconsequential because the actual murder is
So
later.
what he's saying too is that he that the commissioner knocked Robert out,
Yes.
threw him in the car, put the mom in the trunk, and he was going to kill them both.
This is after.
But
This is coming from that's coming from the motel, right?
yeah,
Yeah.
and then Fleetwood knocked Commissioner out. The wife got out of the car on her own
Yes.
and then drove the car off the cliff or pushed the car off the cliff in neutral, and she killed Commissioner Gordon.
Yes. That's his story.
That's his story, that he was crooked, that Commissioner was crooked. Bob Fleetwood figured it out, and then Bob Fleetwood's like, I'm going to take the two of you out. So basically everyone has lied so far at some point.
Yeah.
Like everybody's like, yeah, it's,
And
but then Flag says, I can confirm Fleetwood's story
oh,
because we went to this Overbrook Ranch, with the place where they found him, and they're like, we counted all the tire tracks and the people tracks, and it backs up his story that there was a woman in the trunk. She got out of the car, she came back up to the car, and then drove the car off the thing. And then there's like, and we got Bob Fleetwood's prints, we got Mr. Overbrook's prints, we can do the whole thing. He actually Overbrook saw that that there were prints, and so he wouldn't step on them. He put down a whole bunch of
planks. Yeah.
planks, so he wouldn't add any different. So like a
It's a
lot's
whole
happened.
thing. And this is where like in the courtroom, they're like, we gotta bust out a fucking blackboard with just the hotel. It's the hotel, right? Or is it the Overbrook place?
It's the
It's the hotel.
Overbrook. It's a ranch, so
But the
it's
ranch and the hotel are different places.
correct.
Right.
Correct. They
So
are different
this
places.
is the ranch
Yes.
that's on the blackboard. I wrote down that like all the footprint talk is like the 1950s equivalent of cell phone towers. Like he was pinging that tower at that time, but what if he was over here? Because like there's his footprints, her footprints, dog footprints, backtracking. Like it is so complicated.
I think a lot of this boils down to the idea that the wife was in the trunk and she ran out of the trunk and she walked back to the car to drive the car off the cliff. That's the prosecution's case. And they've got the footprints that say, hey, a woman ran out of the car and then she walked back up to the car.
Now, in order to, so my favorite part of the episode probably is during like lunch break, and they're like, well, we need to go check out these footprints ourselves. And so Paul and Perry and Della are go to the crime scene, like, you know, like the infamous foot tracks everywhere. And they're all eating sandwiches. They all just have sandwiches in their hands. And then
Yep.
Perry's like, hey, can you run? She's like, what? Like,
She
because
has
they need to see like a woman running to see like what those footprints look like.
Yeah, that's what it is.
And
That's
so I
exactly
love
what it
watching
is.
her run, sandwich, like good stuff.
Because they're in court and it looks pretty much like the wife is toast. Because like the LAPD is like these tracks match up. Overbrook, believe it or not, the owner of the ranch, excuse me, the owner of the ranch is a big player here because he's a tracker from
Yeah.
way back, and he's like, I can tell all these tracks. I can tell who did these tracks. I can tell who walked where and who did these tracks, and which tracks are my dog Prince's, and which tracks are my tracks.
So, I mean,
So he's the expert witness.
What they ultimately, the way that they ensnare him or whatever is like, Perry's like, they're like, why do we assume that these lady footprints running from the trunk happened before the footprints back to the car? It's like, what if that was reversed? What if someone walked to the car? There's it feels like Shield. It feels like they came up with the analogy and then they were like, strategic homeland international because they're like, well, we have these footprints, so he put the planks down and jumped on a bush and the bush was run over, so he couldn't like. I was like, oh my god.
The girlfriend was the one, the wife was never in the trunk.
Never.
It was the girlfriend who walked up to the car, drove it away, drove it back, and then ran off of it, made it look like someone ran out from the trunk.
And then so Overbrook did it, right? No. Overbrook and Bob.
Overbrook drove the car away and pushed it over the cliff. Fleetwood was the one who killed the Commissioner Gordon.
So he was already dead before it went over.
Yeah.
And this is revealed to us how?
In a dream.
It's like the act ends with like him accusing Overbrook, and then Bob jumps up from the peanut gallery and is like, "Rah!"
No, it didn't happen like that. But that in either case that exonerates the wife.
Yeah.
The defendant always is innocent in Perry Mason. The defendant, yeah.
The last act of it is, wait, who's the prosecutor again?
Hamilton Burger.
Orgy Man. Hamilton Burger. Basically, the end of it is the two of them, Perry Mason and him, like talking about who might have done it.
Yeah.
And so the prosecutor comes up with the correct thing, but Perry Mason like comes up with a different thing. And then afterwards, Della's like, well, wasn't he right? And he was like, yeah, well, I can't let him know he's right. So
we had to deal with a lot of footprints on a chalkboard and magnetic cars stuck to a chalkboard and magnetic planks stuck to a chalkboard. It was hard for me to take notes because I'm watching it going, wait, who did what now? Who did the tracks? Because yeah,
I could see where this would work in a novel because you have a lot more time. But like condensing it down, like so much stuff had to go off screen. Apparently, I guess an entire impotence storyline or something was cut, judging by the title of this episode.
The Lazy Lover. Who was the
Lazy Lover? Who was the Lazy Lover? Because no one was cheating on anyone either. Was she actually sleeping with Bob? No.
No.
So
Bob had a girlfriend.
A smoke show.
For real.
I don't know. It was great.
It's yeah. It's hard to say. Like I tried to follow, and it was just kind of like they caught Overbrook being partly involved, because they were able to count the number of his dog's tracks and the number of
Yeah.
his tracks, and they're like, but didn't Prince go out with you? It's like there was a lot going on here. Not to say it was bad. It was very enjoyable,
I mean, yeah,
but it was
the hour
very
flew
confusing.
by. Honestly, the hour flew by considering just how much just talking there is. Like, it is not an action packed. I mean, Della running was
That was
basically
it.
the only action.
Got some great parking scenes.
Great parking scenes. I also wanted to say, like, Raymond Burr has very lovely listening eyes. He has
Yes,
great
he does.
eyes of a listener. Very handsome bags under his eyes. Very weird compliment, but it's true.
I also find it really funny that Paul Drake wears a trench coat everywhere, and when he wears the trench coat, he pops the collar up.
Oh, yeah.
Middle of the day, middle of the night, nope, collar up.
It just made me like, because we live in a hellscape and everything's awful, baby. I look at the 1958 and I'm like, I could do this. Just imagine, like, just no
Just
internet, just hanging out,
you wouldn't have
just
like Perry
vibing.
Mason. You wouldn't have Perry Mason SVU because there was no sex crimes. It was all just like property shit and
And
like
it was all perfect.
murders
No
and like
one.
little swindling out of like mining deeds and stuff. It never got R rated. No, it was Perry Mason,
Ah, well, a simpler time. Are
for some
you ready
people.
for some must-have facts?
Woo! Let's do them.
I don't know what the ratings were because 1950s newspapers are confusing as hell. I mean, but it makes sense. They don't know how to report on television yet. Like, it's still new. Like,
Yeah.
and then it did not make the top 30 for season 1, so it became a hit at some point. But just to give the flavor of what else was a hit at this time, for the season, number 5 was I've Got a Secret. 4 was Have Gun Will Travel. 3 was Tales of Wells Fargo.
So game show, Western.
Number 2 was The Danny Thomas Show.
Comedy,
And number 1, Gunsmoke.
Western.
And
1958.
so the CBS Saturday Night lineup was Perry Mason kicking off the night, followed by Top Dollar, and then The Gale Storm Show.
That is a drag name.
Yes, Gale Storm. Ooh.
Serious.
Gale Gordon. Yeah, that's Gale Gordon's drag name. Anyway, I don't know. Have Gun Will Travel and then Gunsmoke. So wild that they were on back to back, but like people like what they like, they wanted what they wanted.
In Westerns, everybody at that time loved Westerns. You can't find them now. You can't find a Western anywhere.
Is there one Western on right now?
Is
Oh,
it
well, I mean, like Yellowstone ain't back yet.
Yeah, or the
your
Yellowstone prequel.
your 1883 and
Yeah,
all but like
there are a couple of them. Deadwood was really good. I like Deadwood.
Yeah.
That was, I watched that one recently. I just watched Wyatt Earp with Kevin Costner. Oh, it's so bad.
And also Martin Cove from Cobra Kai and
Oh, it's got everybody in
Karate
it.
Kid, because I interviewed him. I thought that you texted me because you would like, I was like, did he read my Martin Cove interview?
No,
Because he brought up Wyatt Earp.
It's got Mackenzie Aston in it.
Oh,
Right at the end, as old Wyatt Earp and his wife are going to Alaska, suddenly there's this young kid. He's like, "Hey, are you Wyatt Earp?" And I'm like, "Oh shit, that's Mackenzie Aston, friend of the show."
Friend of the show, episode 100.
I gotta say, the movie itself was really bad, but there were so many good performances in it. Dennis Quaid as Doc Holliday is really good.
Awesome.
It's really good. But like, I'm sorry, Kevin Costner just no.
It's wild how famous he was.
Yeah.
He
Yeah,
could
it's
do
really
no wrong.
weird.
So what are you watching this night? On ABC, we have the Dick Clark Saturday Night Beach Nut Show, sponsored by Beach Nut Gum. And so this is okay. So here's the summary that I found in this newspaper. This has a little bit of an editorial slant. Dick Clark's rock session has some people named the Coasters and Johnny Nash who cooled out of last week's show. For adults, this is the best mystery show of the week. On CBS, Perry Mason. Perry Mason's client not only looks guilty, but the husband she presumably murdered had already put the finger on her and her lover, who inconveniently developed a bad case of amnesia. That's part of what happens. And then on
It
NBC,
doesn't mention the footprints.
yeah, that's his footprint fans gonna be left out of this one.
Oh.
And on NBC, we had People Are Funny. Um, a contestant is assigned to hitchhike his way to Fort Worth, Texas, to cash a $1,000 check written on a watermelon.
He is murdered several times on the way. The watermelon is eaten gladly by a hungry person.
So I don't know how Perry Mason wasn't higher in the ratings because it was on against some garbage.
Yeah. I mean, it might be fun to watch the coasters, but I'd be watching Perry Mason.
Yeah. Sorry, people, y'all aren't funny enough for me. Perry Mason all the way.
The check's written on a watermelon, and he's got to go to Fort Worth.
Were checks new? Did they not understand that you can't just write that information on anything and cash it?
You can though. You can write stuff on anything.
Wait, really? You can?
Yeah. As long as you have the routing number and the account number, you can pretty much write it on anything.
Wow.
Yeah. I remember reading it was like a Tumblr post where someone's like, their school did this, and the person wrote on one of the students all the information, and they actually had to cash it, and the bank told them, you never do this again. But yeah,
better than a one.
How about you?
On IMDb, I'm definitely watching Perry Mason.
Okay.
I mean, it's 1958. I understand that me and Perry Mason have something in common, that we are both hiding from the world. I can see in those eyes the
I might watch
closeted
more
man.
Perry Mason. Like
I know. I was watching it, being like, this seems like the kind of like cool, like good thing, like during 2020, when every day after work I would put on an episode of Heart to Heart. Like, just seems like the kind of like decompression show.
Yeah.
Good, like just like chill. On IMDb, 407 Perry Mason aholics gave this a 7.9 out of 10. Higher, lower, good to go.
I'd go lower, as much as I love, all the Batman throwbacks. And the writer of this episode also wrote 4 episodes of Batman, two Joker episodes, and the 2 Minstrel episodes with Van Johnson.
Love another homo.
Yeah.
Love.
Makes you wonder.
Wild.
I would give it much lower. I'd break 6.3.
Yeah, I mean, I think I would give like my affection for these performances and like the vibe high, but then the actual mystery itself, I'm like, what the hell? I don't know what's happening here.
Yeah, I might have to watch another one of these to see if they're all like this. But
so
this was
Hayden Rourke is in, I think, 2, and I've watched both of those. One of them is like The Mystery of the Violent Vest. Very good. I liked both of those episodes. They're very good.
Neil Hamilton, Commissioner Gordon, was in 7 episodes playing different characters.
Yeah.
Across the entire run of the show.
So, who had the must-see performance?
Paul Drake.
Okay.
Call Drake to investigate my love.
I mean, I want to give it. I like Della. Oh, there was a really good scene where like Raymond Burr, where Perry Mason comes into his office. Paul Drake is already in there. They exchange some information and then leave. And then Perry Mason pokes his head back in to be like, "Hi, Della," and because the camera pans and Della's like in the office. She was in there the entire time. That is the fact that this show did find like little comedy beats like that. Very good. So love Della. Good Della. Good Perry.
Now I will admit that I looked for a William Hopper autograph on eBay before I got on here. There are plenty of 8x10s, but nothing was signed.
Ooh.
But I do have some cool stuff. Actually, if I can just show my camera a little here, I've got a couple new autographs. I've got the Creature from the Black Lagoon autographed by Rico Browning, and my John Saxon. I was able to put that up on the wall, and in the between are Olsen and Johnson, the great comedy team, and over here is Malcolm McDowell from Clockwork Orange.
Yeah.
So I've been trying to find like interesting niche celebrities that I could get like a very cheap autograph from. And I've got Jack Elam over here, and I just ordered a surprisingly cheap Vincent Price.
Oh wow.
I've been trying to find an Oliver Reed. If someone has an Oliver
Oh,
Reed that they wouldn't
I
mind
mean,
parting with, I'd be interested to hear.
hey, if someone is Oliver Reed and you wouldn't mind parting with your freedom, like,
Oh my gosh.
ooh,
He is
hot.
quite dead, Barb.
Oh God.
He died during the filming of Gladiator after wrestling with some sailors.
Really?
Yeah, if you can believe this. Okay, so they're filming Gladiator, Ridley Scott's Gladiator. They're filming it, I think, in Italy. And Oliver Reed, veteran actor, also huge alcoholic,
Hunk,
Hellraiser,
a hunk of a man,
hunk of a
just
man,
like
hunk of a
carved out of wood,
sweaty.
covered in hair. Love him.
Exactly. There are no bad pictures of Oliver Reed,
Oh,
just stronger and more
stylish.
assertive pictures.
Oh,
And
oh,
he spent the night drinking, getting drunk, and arm wrestling with Italian sailors. And at the end of the night, he had a heart attack and died.
the hottest way to die.
The hottest way to die.
That so sexy.
I mean,
I mean,
just
I know
like
he's a bad guy in the Brood, but like, honestly, like, do what you want with me.
he's a bad guy in a lot of stuff, but you know
That's kind
what?
of his thing.
He was a fucking mess. And
He was a
I'm there for that.
he was such a man. Oh,
Oof.
must other people see this episode?
If you do, please tell us what
What happened?
happened.
Hey,
Uh,
yeah. I think in general, watch a Perry Mason. It's fun. I think what we did was the correct way. I think if you like old actors, look up your old actors, see which Perry Mason they were in, and jump
yep.
right in.
Yeah. There are a ton of them. I think I sent you a text message.
Oh, they
Uh,
all sounded great.
yeah, this was only a matter because they had two of them rather than just
Marion
one.
Ross
So
was
so
in
I'm like,
one.
so I said we could do season 1 episode 7, The Case of the Angry Mourner with Barbara Eden.
Yeah. Oh,
We could do The Case of the Prodigal Parent, season 1 episode 36 with Faye Ray and Nancy Culp.
like wild.
Could do season 2 episode 3, The Case of the Pint-Sized Client with Alicia Cook Jr., who I just love because he was in Hell's a Poppin' and House on Haunted Hill. Season 2 episode 17, The Case of the Romantic Rogue with Marion Davis. Or season 2 episode 18, The Case of the Jaded Joker with Frankie Lane. About a comedian who like loses his time slot and there's murder involved. And that's just the first 2 seasons because that
Come
those were the only 2 that fell
on.
in the 50s. Like guest
Get
stars
into it.
galore.
But hey, that's just the first. Next week we'll be back with Family Affair. Or next time.
Yeah, next time we'll be back with Family Affair. We're doing the Family Affair challenge. We said we would, and we will judge
Finally.
this one open-mindedly and fairly, but also understanding that we did get burned pretty bad with Family
And
Affair.
I knew what we were getting into, and I was
Eee.
perfect.
Ugh.
Love a Christmas episode with a dead child. Dead Jan Brady. What in the world?
Ugh.
Love it. Anyway, Ethan, where can people find you on the internet?
Check me out on Instagram at EthanK55. I post a bunch of stuff, pictures.
Ooh.
I got pictures. How about you, Barb? You're all over the place.
Oh, I am all over the place. Well, you can read articles at Decider that I write, sort of. But more importantly, follow Barb Harley on Instagram and YouTube, where I have a whole lot of X-Men content coming out because of the new series.
Oh.
And yeah, like me, please. And rate and review the show wherever you listen to podcasts. Please email us at musthavesceentv@gmail.com if you have anything you want to say. Watch on YouTube, like and subscribe, and comment. Talking with my hands for
Thank
the
you to
YouTube
ACAT for
audience.
hosting the show.
Ooh. And we'll be back with Family Affair.
Bye, everybody.